Alrighty, everyone. Happy Monday. I hope everybody has had a good day so far. I've been extremely busy, and I'm sorry that I did have to push this live stream back later than normal. I'm not sure if this is a better time for people or a worse time. I'm not quite sure, but this is the time that's going to work out for me today. I've got a lot going on that I'm trying to make sure is all ready for whenever I leave in a couple of days. So I apologize for the change in time. For anybody who's here, anybody who watches the replay, thank you guys so much for being here. If you like the video, like it. If you're new and you want to subscribe, feel free to subscribe. Today is an open discussion. We typically do these on Mondays. I typically put a poll out between Friday and Sunday. You guys vote on what topic you want to talk about, and then we talk about it on Monday. This week, the topic choice that was picked is manipulation. So we're going to be talking about that quite a bit today. I think in a general sense, it's not very triggering, but if people do talk about areas, it can be triggering. So just keep that in mind. But we're just here to have an open conversation, talk about what we have experienced, what we see, maybe give advice or pointers on how to avoid from being manipulated, whether that's in your personal life or online, whichever it may be. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I do want to go ahead and say at the beginning of this, there will not be an open discussion next week. I'm intending on still filming while I'm gone, but I can't promise. I really don't know what all is in store for me while I'm gone. So next week there won't be an open discussion, but the following week there will be. So just keep that in mind. I want to go ahead and say hi to everybody who's here, and then we'll get on in with our topic and definitions and things of that nature. So hello, Miranda. Hello, Elizabeth. Hello, Melody. Hey, Melissa. Hey, Sue. Hey, Susie. Hey, Laura. Hey, Jonah. It's good to see some people saying that they're new. I appreciate you guys who maybe are stopping in for the first time or who are newly subscribed. I appreciate that so much. So our topic is manipulation. So I pulled up the definition, and the definitions are the ones that, automatically populate from Google are pretty straightforward, and they really don't go into much, but there's also off to the side, if you Google stuff, maybe I'll share my screen and you guys will see what I'm talking about, and we'll talk about it. I'm sorry, I had to do a lot of stuff for my crafting business between last night and today, and my Cricut is at my feet, so I'm trying to push it back. All right. Hey, World Puzzler. Good to see you. Hey, Sincere. Hey, Meek. Hey, Maximum Effort. Wow, it seems that people maybe are more, a different group of people seem to be available in the evening time. So that's nice to know. Maybe I'll try to do some of these a little bit later rather than doing them so early in the afternoon. Thank you, Heather. I'm looking forward to my trip. I'm not looking forward to the flight, but that is what it is. So let me see here. Hey, Sharon. I'm going to move this over here so I can share this screen. All right, so whenever you Google it, hopefully you guys can see that and it's not too small. The basic definitions that pop up just from like the dictionary is the action of manipulating something in a skillful manner. And the second definition for using it as a noun, the action of manipulating someone in a clever or unscrupulous way. I don't really like those two definitions because it doesn't really go into what manipulation is. So off to the side here, this psychological manipulation. Once I read through this, I'm going to check the chat. I like this definition better because it explains more of what manipulation is. I do find that manipulation, especially here recently with things going on in different communities, it seems to be a term that's kind of thrown around and used. And I don't necessarily mean and am saying that the people who are saying them don't know what the definition is, but it seems that when people are pushing this term of manipulation, in a way, they are manipulating their audience in doing so because they're trying to push their own narrative out rather than just have an open conversation. So I find that very interesting, but let's go ahead and read this definition. So it's the psychological manipulation, which is what most people kind of refer to when they're talking about people online, because they're not manipulating you in person, whereas maybe a partner or a coworker or even, the company you work for could be manipulating you. When it comes to online stuff, it's all psychological. It's how you perceive things. It's how you think about things. And if manipulation is happening from a creator to their subscriber base or whatever, however you want to verb that, it is more going to be psychological because it's how you're processing what you're seeing. So it goes on to say is a type of social influence that aims to change the behavior or perception of others through indirect, deceptive, or underhanded tactics. By advancing the interests of the manipulator, often at one another's expense. Such methods could be considered exploitative and devious. That's what I think of whenever I hear manipulation. Now, do I think some creators maybe engage with this? I do. I don't think they do it intentionally, but creators who are often pushing out that they are being manipulated or they're being silenced or they can't talk about this or that, like Gabby Hanna, like that is a sense of manipulation. They're trying to manipulate their audience to believe that they were being told that they can't talk, which is not necessarily the case. In most cases, it is the person, whoever it is making the personal choice to not speak their opinion, whether it's because they're afraid of backlash, they're afraid of pushback, they just don't want to deal with the drama. I mean, there could be a number of reasons, but the fact that they try to put it out there like, oh, I was being silenced, when in reality, it was a decision that they were making not to talk about these things, that is manipulating your audience into thinking that maybe there were pressures or people were pressuring you to not talk. I mean, those are two very different situations, and that is manipulation. And that is what is happening on this platform. More and more frequently, we are seeing creators do engage in this deceptive, underhanded behavior. Oftentimes, it's happening behind the scenes, and like they may be kind of shady or they may be saying nasty things. Think about the creep show art situation where, they're acting two-faced. They're acting one way to the audience, but behind closed doors, there's somebody totally different. And there's nothing, not as far as like the creep show art situation goes, but as a person, there's nothing wrong with protecting yourself and not allowing the internet to see every little aspect of you and be the truest version of you. It's okay to not do that. But it starts to become manipulation when you are intentionally doing these things to cause people to believe a certain way or to believe a certain thing. That's when it starts to become manipulation, in my opinion. Please let me know what your opinions are. I'm going to go back and see who all has joined, and we'll continue the conversation from there. Hey, Jean. Hey, Nana. Good to see you. Hey, Brooke. Hey. Oh, it seems like some people are just talking. You're definitely an evening person. Yeah, I've become more of an evening person. It's going to probably be very hard for me to adjust to being around three of my young nieces and them being day people. So it'll be an adjustment. I'm super excited to see them all, though. You were married to a master manipulator for many years, went back when women were expected to stay. You saw that the other night in a live stream. Hey, Belinda, good to see you. Yeah, my live stream was initially scheduled for 4, but I rescheduled it for 8. Hey, Claudia, good to see you. Sue, you feel that you were manipulated to a point online. I mean, people, that's why I always, and I know people think that I'm getting on a soapbox, and I can understand that I probably do come off that way when I'm talking about protect yourself. Watch what you want to watch. Don't let other people influence what you want to watch. Don't let other people really influence you to believe or think a certain way. I guess I will say I probably do get on a soapbox and I preach those things. And it's because manipulation happens so easily online because you're just, and I mean no offense. I mean, I'm a creator as well, but and I'm also a viewer, but we are mindlessly consuming. Yes, you are consuming probably topics you're interested in for whatever reason, something that you're following, a drama that you just want to know everything about. So you're going down rabbit holes. I mean, that's totally normal. But the thing is that you're mindlessly listening to it unless you are sitting there and kind of picking it apart and trying to find the pieces to it, maybe what started a drama or what was the catalyst for this behavior to start happening. You're probably not picking up on all of the cues. And even in a sense where you are maybe starting to digest everything, pick it apart, try and understand it, you can almost come to a point where you hyper analyze at that point because it's online and you don't know who's telling the truth unless you have actual receipts in your face. And at this point, I've seen in one particular community nothing but faked screenshots about everything in different areas. And it just convolutes everything. And it gets to a point where it's like, how do you want to spend your time online? Do you want to be constantly feeling frustrated? If you want to constantly be feeling, that, I don't know. For me, I like to enjoy what I'm watching. Even whenever I'm going down rabbit holes for topics to talk about, even if they're harder to listen to, I make sure I listen to the harder to handle videos and live streams when I'm in a place that I know I can handle listening to those. Because if I'm already like in a down mood or I'm already mad about something else that's totally unrelated, and I go in and I listen to these videos that are full of emotion, I'm going to perceive that video different in that mindset than I am in a totally different mindset. And creators we can't assume where our subscribers are going to be coming from, like what day they may have had or anything like that. So it's always important to think of where you are when you're consuming content. And if something feels off, whether it's somebody telling their experience or something like that, it's okay to question that. It has become in so many communities taboo to question a creator. You can ask them questions, especially if they're a creator who live streams. And if you are questioned for questioning because you're thinking and you're trying to make sense of what they're saying, in my opinion, if you get kind of dogpiled or anything like that because you're asking questions to try and understand, I would question even further, and it would make me think that maybe they're not being honest or, that there's some underlying reason going on, if that makes any sense. Let's see. Let me go up and see what you guys are saying. It can be very subtle and unnoticeable, quite damaging, and it seems to be contagious. I'm glad you're here too, Maximum Effort. It's been a while. I know you've had a lot going on. You suppose if they can manipulate an attorney? Yeah, I'm assuming you're talking about the what without a crystal ball stuff. I'm slightly aware of kind of what's going on, but not 100%. Jean, I would appreciate if you did not do that in my chat. I've tried to talk with you privately about the 2 times that I've had issues with live streams. I would appreciate that if it's not an issue here. I've tried to talk to you in private about it. I've explained what has happened, and I don't want to have my chat deferred because you're bringing stuff up like that. Your mother has NPD, so she looks like the queen of manipulation. You see a lot of her strategies being employed by creators and subs. Nitpicking intel and shifting goalposts stands out the most. And Belinda, I've noticed in a couple of different dramas that have been going on that I've followed is it seems to be a lot of hypocrisy, and I think it's primarily not, some of it is based in manipulation, but I don't think it's always been intentional manipulation. I think it just kind of has snowballed. Some creators don't know how to get out of it. And then there's just the direct hypocrisy that is happening, and a lot of behaviors that I see creators calling out in other creators, I've not been involved. I've been sitting back and I'm just like, well, if you really kind of put a mirror up, you've done the same things, maybe in a different way, but you've done the same things. And it's like that disconnect isn't there. And then because their feelings are hurt, they feel more defensive. So they may be a little bit more deceptive. They may be a little bit more shady, and things like that tend to happen. And that seems to be going on quite a bit in almost any community you go into. Once you're there for any amount of time, or you're watching for any amount of time, you see that this is kind of a regular thing. And it seems to be more of a regular thing in smaller channeled communities, communities where it's a lot of people who have smaller channels who are trying to support each other, trying to be there for each other. But, you maybe get too close, or people misinterpret, cordial conversation for things that it's not. And then people's feelings get hurt. Then the manipulation starts, because if you are all friends at one point, you are or you're covering similar content, whether you like it or not, you're probably sharing a lot of the same subscribers. And more often than not, subscribers are going to, if you're constantly pushing the narrative of this person against this person, or people turning your back on people, or picking sides, or they left me out to dry, or they silenced me, or they didn't support me, you are pushing a manipulation rhetoric already by having those kinds of verbiage used. That's why when I was covering Without a Crystal Ball and things, and when I was covering drama that was happening, I kept saying, please stop talking about picking sides, because it is manipulating your audience. You may not want them to feel that they have to pick a side, but constantly making comments about people turning their back on you, or people not liking you, or any of that, that pushes that if they like you, they're going to defend you, or they should want to defend you. And then it's going to lead them to question any other creator who isn't seen publicly in your chat or talking about you. It does start to manipulate people in that manner. And that's been going on for a while in that community. And it's just seeming to spread like wildfire even more. But this isn't just in that community either. Sometimes you get dragged in your nose. And it's okay to be nosy. As humans, as you're watching stuff, you tend to if you're interested or you like the creator, you tend to go down the rabbit holes of wanting to know more about that creator or understand where they're coming from or know why they have the viewpoints that they do, you know, and that's okay. That there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you think you're less manipulated online. You have a hard time being frank and maintaining boundaries with people in person, but online you're always skeptical and your guard is naturally up. Yeah, I mean, and that some people may operate very differently. Some people may operate in the sense of wanting to protect themselves more online than in person. Some people are more social online than they are in person, and vice versa. It really boils down to personality and how you like to interact with people. Online, you seem to be able to stay in the middle of the road, but you've taken flack for being in the middle. I don't know. Hey, that Amber chick, you don't. Yeah, I know I don't, but I've explained it a few times, so it's just kind of frustrating, but it is what it is. Life gets in the way. Many times we move on. Hey, Dana, good to see you. Aaron, you don't have the same strength to do that, but you're learning. And I mean, people are going to make mistakes online, like whether you're a viewer or not, whether you're a creator or not. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all people. We're all consuming content. It's supposed to be for entertainment. And it's whatever you find entertaining that you end up watching and you end up consuming. And it means different things for different people. Some people like to watch all kinds of stuff. I mean, the only videos that I would say, if it's any kind of commentary in some way, I would say always have your guard up. That's why a lot of creators, especially larger creators, have the very lengthy intros that they do to protect themselves from, you know, getting sued, but also because they say, you know, these are my opinions. Make sure you do your research, because more often than not, people are just mindlessly listening, and you may hear this person's opinion and really agree and have very similar morals, and you may find yourself aligning with that creator without even knowing the full picture of whatever they're talking about. And that's why they say, if you're interested, like, do your own research. Don't just believe what I'm saying, because in a way that could technically fall under the definition of manipulation, because it could be indirect. Manipulation can be done indirectly, like the psychological manipulation definition says, that it aims to change the behavior and perception of others through indirect, deceptive, or underhanded tactics. I should have brought a drink. Hey, Gigi, recent dramas and deception has had you questioning yourself these days. Like, am I capable of knowing and discerning the truth? And that's really unfortunate that is how people are starting to feel as subscribers and as viewers. Because what people who are engaging in this kind of manipulation or the back and forth, because when you are back and forthing with creators, like constantly, you're in this back and forth to some degree, like you are participating in manipulation, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, you are, because you're trying to manipulate your audience to a degree to see where you're coming from and why you are feeling the way that you are, but you're also dismissing the way that the other person may feel or the other person's experience. So you are in a way trying to push your narrative. And when you do that and you're constantly in this back and forth, people are going to question what's true and what's not true, not because the creator maybe has intentionally lied, but if you're saying one thing and you're doing the total opposite, people are going to question that. And it's not very fair, in my opinion, when this is going on and subscribers feel that they don't know what's going on, that they don't know what the truth is. And that's why I always just advise to try and have pretty healthy boundaries to where you're not getting overly or too attached to anybody. That way, when you are let down, because we're people, we're human, we're going to make mistakes, we're going to let people down. When that happens, it's not an utter defeat for you, if that makes sense. Lots of contradictions with behavior. That's what you were going to say. It's the shared subs that becomes a problem in these situations you've seen. That's unfortunate. I've seen in multiple communities a lot of things get pushed onto the subs. And in certain situations, I can understand where addressing the subscribers is a part of the puzzle and a part of the dramas. But I still am of the firm belief that it is not appropriate for a creator to involve their subscribers or a subscriber in their own issues. And I also don't think it's healthy for creators to encourage subscribers to openly defend them or to go out of the way, their own ways to watch videos and catch clips and screenshots and things like that. Like, that's just really not healthy. Yeah, texting or communicating through any kind of anything other than like talking or in person, it can be misconstrued because you can't hear the person's tone of voice. You can't hear the rhythm in which they are speaking. You can't hear the inflection in their voice. So they may say something that, I'm trying to think of one because there's several that you can say something and it can mean two totally different ways. And it all depends on how you interpret the text message or the email or whatever it is that's written that's not being spoken to you. And a lot of how you're going to interpret that is also based off of your mood, based off of the kind of day you've had, how much stress you're under. I mean, that's just life. That's dealing with life. But as people and as adults, we all have bad days. We all have rougher days than others. And if you've had a shit day and somebody sends you a text that you could read one way or another, you're likely to read it in the more upsetting way because you're already in that headspace. For me, whenever I'm in bad moods or anything like that, if I get any text messages or emails that I can't tell what they mean, I either don't answer until I feel like I can revisit it and look at it objectively, or I just ask before I just maybe say things that are hurtful or offensive or argue with somebody. I'm not someone who typically tries to have confrontation with people, but that wasn't going to make sense. I don't think people realize I'm not afraid of confrontation. I would prefer not to have confrontation, but I'm not afraid of it. And I meet it head on and I say what I have to say and I listen to what the other person has to say. And it goes from there. And if we're able to figure it out and see it's a misunderstanding or something like that, awesome. If it's something where it's just a thing that we're going to agree to disagree, awesome. If it's something that, you can't move past, then friendships end. I've very rarely had friendships end in a very nasty way. Friendships or relationships, it's always pretty civil in the end. So, and I mean, that also boils down to your personality type and how you handle things. No tone and voice when text. So many. Yes, exactly, Erin. Many miscommunications. I agree. Some creators aren't honest about that. Wait, some creators. Is Xylee here? Did my chat jump? I think my chat's jumping. I'm not on YouTube. I'm on StreamYards, which is probably an issue. I should pull up the live chat. Well, if Xylee's here, hi. I didn't even realize I was still sharing my screen. So let me try and figure out where we're at in the chat. So you've got to sleep. She probably didn't even hear me say hi then. You've been there once and only once as a mod and a Discord mod, and that won't happen again. I hope your situation improves. I think I missed part of the conversation when I was in StreamYards. StreamYards doesn't show every single chat like when you're in live chat on YouTube. So if I've missed a comment and it's been a part of the conversation and you want it to be heard, like let me retype it. I hate saying that and I try not to do that, but I was not paying attention. You make at least 3 mistakes every day just to keep yourself honest. Totally joking, but you're right. Yeah, I understand that. Like we all are going to make mistakes. We're all going to misspeak. We're all going to react emotionally at some point. When it comes to the online space, I try my best not to be too judgmental of creators who are reactionary until it becomes a pattern. If you are always reactionary and it's a very blown out of proportion, sometimes overreaction because you're emotional, that can become problematic. Doesn't mean it's problematic, no, but it can start to be, in my opinion, become a form of manipulation, because when we are emotional as creators, whether it's because we're angry or because we're upset or because we're crying or because we're struggling, when it is anything outside of our normal behavior, it does entice more people to view it, to see it. I know I've had a few emotional streams, and those are some of my most viewed streams because I'm a human and I'm angry and emotional and speaking out on those. So yeah, I mean, people do it. I don't know if it's necessarily that as viewers you enjoy that. I think it's just a relatability factor. But I do kind of feel that at times creators start to understand and see that their subscribers are more in tune whenever they are upset or sad or things are rough for them. And so they bring that to their platform. And it is manipulative, in my opinion, once they come to realize that it brings in more people. And so they start doing it more frequently, even maybe say if there's nothing going on and they try to make something out of nothing, that's manipulation. And that does happen. I see that a lot in a lot of communities. We all screw up. Yeah, we do. I mean, we're human. It's kind of how you, in my opinion, it's more or less when you make a mistake, it's how you try to recover or fix what mistake has happened, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, you can make a mistake and you may not know how to recover from it, but at least trying and maybe changing what you did to get to that point moving forward makes a big difference. You're not going to just support a creator that doesn't feel healthy or that shows behaviors that you don't want to start picking up on or mimicking. Yeah, I can understand that. some creators aren't honest about the fact that they make it a habit to delete comments they don't agree with and block people that don't fully support their narrative. I guess, yeah. I mean, having an echo chamber is manipulating the wider public. You could have that conversation because if you're deleting comments because you don't want a narrative going on, or you don't want people questioning you, or you don't want people to see that people have negative things to say about you, which I almost question more when people's comment sections are all positive. I've questioned myself. I've made a video saying, do I have an echo chamber? Because I don't get a lot of hateful, mean comments. I get some, but I don't get a lot. And I've had that conversation with you guys because I didn't know, like, I'm not deleting things, but are people feeling that they can't speak out against my opinion, that they can't argue, like healthily argue with me? I am fine with that. I appreciate a back and forth. It helps me see things a different way if you're having a different perspective than me. So when people are deleting comments and then blocking people just because they don't agree with them, it's creating an echo chamber. And to the wider audience, like I said, I think that that's more of where the manipulation would kind of play in, because it's manipulating new people who come to your channel and who may read through your comments a little bit. It's manipulating them in the fact that, oh, look, nobody ever has anything bad to say about me. Everyone thinks I'm great. Everybody agrees with me. You know, as creators, you're going to get ratioed from time to time because you're going to make mistakes from time to time. It is part of being a creator. And to me, it's really about how you handle that scandal or situation or controversy. It's how you handle it, how you move on from it, how you learn, and how you change from it, especially if it's starting to become like a problem to where it's concerning to a lot of people and not just a few. Creators often, not always, set the tone. Many times a creator allows some sort of behavior once and other subs will think it's okay, or they aren't clear on their boundaries. Yeah, I think it's becoming, I do agree that creators don't openly talk about boundaries and the boundaries that they have in place. Not saying that they necessarily have to. There's boundaries that I have that I've never talked about. It's just never been something that's been brought up. So I can understand them not talking about their boundaries. What I think you're talking about, and maybe in this, I'm going to exaggerate this just a little bit to make sure I understand what you mean, Melissa, is when a creator will say, now don't send hate or don't be mean to anybody. And then the creator knows or is sent that one of their moderators or someone who is really known to support them is doing that exact thing, and they don't have conversations with them. Not saying they have to happen publicly. That would just depend on the situation, I think. But they don't like try to acknowledge like, hey, I've noticed some of you guys are commenting some pretty hurtful and hateful things, exactly what I asked you not to. Please don't do that. Like further reinforcing that and just kind of knowing it's happening and not acknowledging it. If that's what you're talking about it, yeah, I have seen that. That's how stands are formulated. That's how, people get ratioed just from saying maybe one thing that isn't even that bad about a creator is because of the group of stands that have formed. And that happens across platform everywhere. You have seen when subs manipulate and go too far. I mean, absolutely. There are some subscribers in certain areas of every kind of genre that are very involved. Have a good night, Amber. Thanks for coming. I didn't realize I was so far behind in the chat. Part of the time... part of the drama these days is subs feeling so loyal to a creator that they go into streams to defend, and that's just I think that's something that's always happened. Hey, April, I think that's something that's always happened. And I don't think that that's going to change. I'm not opposed to like people defending someone that they enjoy, but my only thing is at least hear the other person out. Don't be an adult about it. You can defend somebody and not be a total a-hole. You can defend somebody and be respectful. You don't have to start calling names. You don't have to start bringing people's family into things. You sure as shit don't need to be doxing people to just get back at someone. I mean, it's like, you can have an adult conversation. And if you don't want to have an adult conversation, then you probably shouldn't be there. I mean that very respectfully. But if you feel, if you go into a chat or you listen to a chat and you're going to get mad, or you're going to feel that you have to say something and you know it's going to be emotional, you probably shouldn't be there. I mean that with all due respect, but if it's going to incite that kind of emotion out of you, you probably shouldn't be there. Hey, Cheryl, good to see you. Trying to catch up, so I'm just trying to skim through the chat. Hey, Beauty Demon, good to see you. You've been quietly watching a lot of different lives, kind of overwhelming, and seeing some very odd behaviors on both ends, and subs can manipulate a creator big time. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that comment. I do not necessarily think that a sub can manipulate a creator. I think a sub can gas up and hype up a creator. But the thing is, unless that sub knows everything that's going on behind the scenes because they're that close to the creator, a lot of things happen behind the scenes as creators that I really don't think anybody openly talks about, because they'll get hate. I mean, to be honest, and people are not in the business of like, hey, I'm going to make this video and get ratioed, and I know that's going to happen. I'm going to do it anyways. More often than not, as a creator, if you know you're going to make a video and it's just going to have a negative impact and a negative feeling, and there's nothing that you're trying to educate that's going to make a difference, oftentimes, at least for me, I won't make a video about it. I'll just move on, keep it to myself. But a lot of things with creators does happen behind the scenes. It happens in other social medias. It happens in DMs. People think that they owe certain people loyalty, and what they don't know is that their conversations are being screenshotted and sent to the other creator that they're shit talking. I mean, it's like the creep show art stuff. Not every creator is like that, and definitely not to that degree, but I'm talking about going around and like talking shit. They do it from their own profiles with people that who are subscribers to them, that they think they value and trust, and that person has loyalty to them. I mean, we've seen what happened with the BX stuff, and I'm not trying to bring up any of that drama, but you know, when he did his mods dirty, like they showed plenty of receipts and information that like they were the ones that were more or less helping with his content and stuff. That's not totally unheard of, but to that extent, it's very uncommon. That's the only situation I've ever known to be that intense. And in that situation, I would say that, yeah, maybe they had some power over manipulating what was put out. But for the most part, the creator's the one who's going to take the hit for it at the end of the day, because they're the one who is putting themselves on the platform and talking. So if that makes any sense. You usually know a lot about a creator once you've respectfully disagreed with them. In a lot of cases, I've been shocked at a response you get because it's so different than the personality you saw in videos. I mean, if it was a one-time thing, I mean, we all have bad days, right? Like I said, we all have bad days, but if you've tried to address it a few times and you're constantly being met with a personality or a response you really weren't expecting or wanting, that kind of goes to tell you quite a bit about that person, and that they maybe are somebody different than what they portray themselves online. And I've had that conversation before. You can put up a front as a creator online. I mean, that's why creators have accounts that don't have their face on them at all. That's why people have characters as their persona. That's why people have stage names. There's a lot of different things. Some people like to just be themselves and come on their channel. I hope you guys get that vibe from me, because that's kind of what I do. I don't try to act like someone else or have different morals or a different personality. But creators do that. It's when they're starting their channel. You kind of have to make that decision if you're going to be yourself, and how genuine and authentic are you going to be, or are you going to try and portray yourself as someone else? You got grouchy with each other, but you made up and hugged and kissed. Some younger ones can't bow down and admit they're wrong. And Aaron, I don't even think it's an age thing at this point, because I have seen some very disgusting things from people who are quite a bit older than I am, both creators and subscribers. So I don't know if I'm comfortable saying the age thing. There for a while I was, but in more recent times, I'm not comfortable saying, oh, well, they're young and they just don't know any different. I don't feel that can be argued. Hey, Keely, good to see you. Hey, Jersey Jojo, good to see you too. You think you can also emote boundaries? Yeah, I think people can kind of tell if you've been watching or subscribed to somebody long enough. You kind of know where their boundaries are. You know what maybe might hurt their feelings and things like that. You see, as a balanced creator, you've never seen drama here, which is why I appreciate that. And I mean, I'm not going to lie. I've definitely been involved in, one pretty big drama. It really wasn't a big drama. It was just with a bigger creator, but that was at the beginning of my YouTube. And it taught me a lot. It taught me not to trust anyone. I mean, that's really what it did. And it taught me that people are shady and that creators aren't who they portray themselves as. And it's kind of taught me to try and be as genuine and authentic with you guys as I can, while still maintaining a sense of privacy for myself and my family. But I really try not to get involved in drama. It's not to say I won't ever be involved in drama. But for me, I just don't deal with, and I'm the same way in real life. I just don't deal with BS. I don't deal with BS. I can typically see, and the reason why I don't get into a lot of arguments and things like that is because I can typically genuinely see where the other opposing opinion, I can genuinely see how they are getting to that opinion. Does it mean I agree with them? No. And what comes into play with opinions that people just seem to really not understand is it's based off of you, off of the experiences you've had, off of your morals, off of your ethics, off of your values. That's how you come to the opinion that you do about situations. They're your thoughts, how you perceive things, how you are processing it. Yes, there's a lot of us who have similar opinions about a lot of different situations, but there is going to be maybe that one big issue where you're just not going to be able to see it from my perspective. And that is okay. And I am 100% okay with that. And the creators, what bothers me and where manipulation starts to come is when creators are saying, you can disagree with me, you can do this, you can do that, I don't care, it doesn't bother me. And then they're going and making videos throwing shade, clearly that it bothered them. I mean, that's a form of, you're being deceitful. You're being deceitful to your audience because you're saying it doesn't bother you, but clearly it does. And yes, we're humans. We have emotions. Our feelings are going to get hurt, but to what degree? Like, don't say it's not going to bother you if it's going to bother you. And recently, I have seen a lot of emotional manipulation happening where a lot of creators who have been involved in dramas and situations and controversies are trying to pull this very emotional stance. And, you know, I hate to use the word victim because I don't think that that's a healthy or appropriate term, but for the lack of a better one, I see a lot of people like trying to pull victim cards, trying to say that they've been a victim of something or that they are a victim of something, and they're exacerbating it. And it's just like, you cannot sit here and say you want to move on and then be upset on your platform and claim that you're a victim on your platforms. And that's across your platforms. If you are a creator and you live stream and you put out on your Twitter some really cryptic, solemn tweet, you know people are going to ask about it on your YouTube. You know that that's going to cross platform. That's manipulation too. You hate it when creators support subs trolling other streams and then coming back and making jokes about it. I mean, that should tell you right there. If it's openly being discussed, like, oh, we went here, and then they're going back to wherever they came from, and making fun about hurting someone else's feelings, that's really freaking immature. That's really, really immature. You did that one time and you got timed out. I was defending someone too hard, got warned, but even at my age, I continued. Hey, Angel Cake. I mean, everybody has their boundaries. Like, I have a boundary tonight that clearly I felt was crossed a little bit, and there's reasons for that. I would hate to make anybody feel that they were pinpointed. I often talk about how that's not a good thing. But I have done things behind the scenes, like I said, to try and understand. I've allowed things to be said that were really kind of hurtful about me. And I've left them because people can have their opinions of not agreeing, but constantly coming into my chats and trying to stir stuff up when I don't typically have a lot of people in my chats. Like, I try to read every comment. I may not read every comment out loud, but I do read almost every comment. And if I see that it's kind of a pattern, I'm going to put up that boundary. I mean, that's just part of having a platform and knowing where your boundaries are. I'm sorry, somebody can dislike me and they can talk about how they dislike me, but to constantly question my credibility, to constantly try and incite to people that I'm a bad person because I missed one live stream because I was sick and I explained what happened, and then because I rescheduled this hours in advance, you're trying to start drama. And that is where I'm saying I'm a no bullshit person. I'm not going to engage with that drama with you. Like, no, I'm going to call it out. I'm going to stop it. And it is what it is. And I'm sure it's going to, if people are wanting to cause drama, it'll end up being a big deal that I did that. And it's one of those things that as a creator, you kind of have to just make decisions. You think a sub can manipulate? You do? I really don't. I think that they can be in their ear and gassing them up and maybe telling them, hey, did you see this? Did you see that? And maybe taking things out of context to further hype up the creator. But I genuinely think more often than not, it's not a conversation that the subscriber started. I think it's a conversation that the creator is starting, and then the subscriber is feeding into it, if that makes sense. There's already a power dynamic there that's going on, and that's why I feel that way. But I mean, you guys give me some examples on how you think subscribers can manipulate creators, because I really don't see it, but it's not that I'm not trying to. You hate to make a comment as there seems to be a tag as one side or the other. I like a lot of them for different reasons. I'm not on a side, and it seems very high school. Yeah, and that's going on. I mean, I have a feeling more people than not are talking about a specific community. And I'm not even just talking about that specific community, because it's everywhere. I've been in multiple communities lately looking for different content, researching different things, and it's everywhere. To the degree that it is in that particular community that I have left, no, it is extremely terrible there. And that's not to say that everybody who's involved is a terrible person, but what is going on, especially from like pieces that I do happen to catch, I don't want to know. That's as simple as it is. But I agree. Like, you can like people, you can like a creator and dislike something that they have said or done, or an action that they did. That does not mean that is such a black and white way of thinking is, I'm only going to like you if I agree with absolutely everything you say and do. And if you even do one thing that deviates from how I feel, I'm no longer going to like you anymore. That's very black and white. And it's okay if you think that way, but it's not okay to push that out to your audience to make them feel that they have to think that way too. Because with almost every creator, I don't watch any of them at all anymore, but it's not a personal thing. I just don't give a shit what's going on in that community, so I don't watch them. But you could name just about any one of those creators, and I could tell you something problematic that they did that I didn't like, but I still liked them and I still watched their content. I was a silent watcher, but I was still watching. And because I wasn't a public watcher anymore, it was this whole big conspiracy. And I let people run with that. And people can still run with that. I don't care, because I genuinely don't care. I like people to like me, but it's not going to break my day if you don't like me. My chat jumped. I'm trying to figure out where you guys are. There's no way I'm this far behind in the chat. There's absolutely no way. I think my chat's acting weird. Hey, Anna. Or Anna. It's Anna. I'm sorry. I'll try to remember. Oh, absolutely. But it's happening in smaller circles, not necessarily with the same BX formula, but same tactics, subs doing manipulative stuff with no boundaries. I mean, subscribers are only not going to have boundaries if the creator doesn't enforce boundaries. For what I mean by that is, a creator has, over live chat, you don't necessarily have 100% control over your chat, but you do have control over your comment sections. And if you're allowing people to get dogpiled for having a difference of an opinion and you're not doing anything about it, or if you're allowing people to get doxed in your comment sections and you're not doing anything about it, I mean, you're saying that you're okay with those things. That is co-signing those kinds of behaviors as a creator. And you're the one whose name's on the line as the owner of that channel. So, it reflects on you. And I think oftentimes creators don't think of it that way. They think of, oh, it's my chat, or they'll put it off on your chat. Again, your live chat is different. I end up behind so often, especially tonight. I did not anticipate having this many people here tonight, but I get far behind in my chat, and I do rely on my moderators to kind of keep up with the chat, but I don't have rules for my moderators unless it's outwardly disgusting. It's a dox. or it's something that they know morally I wouldn't agree with, if it's just mean to me, I don't care if it's there. If it's disagreeing to me, I don't care if it's there. It can be there. So, but what has happened lately in several different chats is creators are allowing other creators and other subscribers be doxxed. And please do not tell me we have to go over what a dox is, because it is manipulating your audience to say it's not a dox if it is. Like, look at the legitimate definition of a dox. They have a lot of creators at this point have engaged, and even people who aren't creators, who are just well known in different communities, have engaged in this kind of behavior. They all have to some degree. And it's like, you're totally trying to manipulate, and oftentimes gaslighting is also used interchangeably with manipulation, but you are trying to deceive your audience, and you're using underhanded tactics to manipulate them to think that you didn't actually dox them when you did. Look at the definition. It was a dox. And you doubling down is just you being afraid to take accountability for your fuck up. And as an adult, if you want people to continue to think you're credible and you have integrity, you have to be willing to set your pride and ego aside and own up to your fuck up. But what happens more and more and more and more and more and more, I could continue to say that for infinity, is creators refuse to take accountability. I have seen a few creators take accountability and it gets blown back in their face. Well, you shouldn't have done what you did in the first place. Well, yeah, clearly they understand that, and they're making an apology video and they're clarifying where they were. They're explaining why this mishap happened to begin with and that they're going to do better moving forward. And it's like they're dogpiled even further for trying to apologize. And it's like, so I understand when I see that happening to creators, I understand why sometimes creators just are like, nah, I'm just not going to talk about it. It'll blow over, because it does eventually blow over. Channels like CSA that pretend to fight for something noble to hide their misdeeds, in your opinion, are there a lot of those on this platform? No, not necessarily. I think Creepshow Art was an extreme version. I don't think most people who are calling out bad behavior and wanting to hold people accountable are doing it because they're trying to vindicate themselves for something shitty that they have done before. But it's not totally, honestly, saying that out loud makes me realize that that's not necessarily a bad thing if you're trying to improve, you've improved yourself from a bad experience or a bad thing that you have done. For example, trigger warning, I'm going to be talking about substance use in a generalized way for a second. Oftentimes, substance abuse counselors are people who have used and have had that history before. And people who are in active addiction tend to understand and work better with someone who is a recovering addict or a recovered addict, because they can understand each other to a degree that, for instance, I would not necessarily understand. I've never had that struggle, but someone else may be able to work with them in a different way because they've had the similar struggles. They've been in the similar mindset before. So I can't necessarily say that if it's a situation like that, is it a bad thing? But I think the Creepshow Art situation is totally different, because she was actively engaging in all of the behavior she was saying she was trying to call out as being negative. She was actively and has been actively, from what we were seeing, engaging in that behavior. It wasn't a new behavior. So it's like her whole channel was almost a deflection of what she was actually doing. And I don't think most creators are like that. I think most creators are maybe trying to put some good back into the world because maybe they did make a mistake before. Maybe they are wanting to make sure people are better educated about things because either they've been the one who's done the bad act or they've been the one who was done wrong. I mean, think about why I created my channel, and what started my channel was me talking about my childhood and what I experienced in foster care and getting adopted. And I happened to find my way into commentary because of the Stauffer stuff that happened last year. I mean, it's funny how life works, but I think of things like that. Like I came here to try and help educate and maybe even motivate or inspire in some kind of way. But I didn't come here like for a redemption arc or anything. Like I was just trying to fill a hole that I had. All right. Yeah, people's names are showing up in screenshots in a lot of places, it seems. You're out of all social media other than YouTube. No Twitter, no Facebook, IG, etc. What you see me comment on lives and comments, what you see is what you get with me. It's all public. You have your opinion just like everyone else. And I mean, that's okay. Like, and that's the thing. It's as if in some of these communities, having an opinion that doesn't align with the creators is like earth-shattering. That's how conversation happens, is about opinions and about difference of opinions. I'm sorry, I am asking my husband to bring me a drink. My mouth is really dry. At this point, there's so much going on and you don't have enough details to even have an opinion on all of this. In Jersey, I know you kind of typically are involved more so in the Katy community, at least from before. That's where I know you were hanging out. And I don't know if things have changed. I know you said that you've been busy and stuff. And by no means am I coming for you. I'm just saying in relation to your comment that there's so much going on and you don't have enough details to even have an opinion on all of this. All you know is that people you've always thought are full of it, you still think are. And that's totally fine. And in that particular community, I think a lot of the problem is too many people trying to figure out stuff and only have bits and pieces. I don't care how many screenshots you're being sent. I don't care who all is talking to you. I don't care about that. The reality is you don't have the full freaking picture. None of us do. Maybe the investigators have more of a picture than we do, but I don't care how much information you're being sent. What is happening with people being isolated, like people being called out, people being accused. And I mean, across the board, this has been going on for months. This is not a new thing. It has gotten severely worse since I denounced my involvement, and things clearly get sent to me from time to time. And sometimes I see it pop up on my Twitter feed and I'm just like, for why? Like, that's all I can think is for why. Why? Why do you guys want to continue to play detective? Why do you guys want to continue to allow all of these different narratives to be spun? Because at the end of the day, that is likely to potentially mess up some kind of investigation, especially the way that some creators are going about how they're doing things. It's mind-boggling what little bit I do see. And I mean, I know I'm only seeing like a sliver of it. You had two people you liked going at each other. You did not like hearing it. You're down with the ignorance is bliss. And I mean, people, and just because you have two creators that you like both of them, doesn't mean that you have to pick a side. It doesn't mean you have to agree with just one and not the other. You can see things from multiple perceptions. You can remain neutral. There's nothing, like, it's been thought of in so many communities that when there's infighting, that if you don't pick a side, that secretly you have a side picked and you're just not talking about it. I will say for myself, when I was in that position, I did not have a side picked because I could see behaviors from all of them that I did not agree with. And I was choosing, thank you, I was choosing to not talk about it because I knew it would cause drama. And you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to start drama just because I have an opinion that may be different or that people may get mad at me for. It wasn't a little bit there for a while. I'm going to be honest, was because I didn't want to deal with the backlash. Because with some of my criticisms towards some of these creators, I knew people would not agree with me on, but they were my opinions. And I sat and I thought about it and I was like, man, if I talk about this, it's just going to cause more drama. It's going to cause more infighting. Why would I do that for myself? Just so people can know the little 2 cents of where I think so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so misstepped. I mean, I'm not a gatekeeper. I'm not the judge all be all. So I realized that and I was like, F this, I'm going to stay out of it. And that's what I did. And so people just assumed that I felt one way or another, and I didn't. But that's just what happens. That's what happens as a creator, and those are choices that you have to make. Sorry, I am really parched. Hey, Kimberly, I think I'm far behind in the chat again. Hey, Skip, did you get trolled earlier in that stream? What stream? Skip, are you talking to me? I don't know. Oh, no, I didn't get trolled. It was something. It wasn't a troll. It was an actual subscribe. I don't know if they're subscribed anymore. It's someone who's been giving me a hard time for a few weeks. So, I mean, it is what it is. Recently, a sub took false evidence to a lot of channels and many reported on it. Later found out that she was lying about them all and she had the origins of lots of drama. No idea even what you're referencing, Melissa, but that just sounds like a mess. It sounds like a mess. A lot worse communities when you went down a rabbit hole of another. Your gosh. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is people kind of fixate on the WACB, and I think that a lot of reasons why people fixate on her is because they maybe have been affected by her personally. And so that's why there's such a large group of people who are interested in constantly, picking her apart and, calling out her problematic behavior, which I'm not excusing. She definitely engages in problematic behavior. She definitely is problematic, but she's a freaking person at the end of the day. And what's kind of been going on with her, not saying her actions, everything, like with the craziness of all of the messages and people involved in harassment, nobody deserves that. Nobody deserves that, not even her. And, it's like, when are you going to be the bigger person and just move on from it? Like, if you want to consume drama, fine, but like, why be so involved with just one person? There are, especially for creators who say, oh, I just want to call out problematic behavior. There are creators with far worse problematic behavior than WACB. I am just saying. That's like, to me, that argument is like not an argument. People need to understand at our age, especially, you choose your battles wisely. Creators aren't perfect, and God forbid had to reschedule. Oh, yeah. I'm clearly behind in the chat. Hey, Rose. Thanks, Mr. Mia. He had to bring me a drink. Hey, Miss Cassandra. For why you agree with that. Yeah, I'm so far behind. I think I'm just going to hang out at the end of the chat. Sorry if I missed anything that you guys were saying. And if it's something that you definitely wanted me to see, just retype it. I think whenever I get more than a certain amount of people in my chats, I'm going to start spacing the time when you can chat. I hate and that's ironic because I hate ending up in chats that have that on, but it helps the creator stay on top of the chat rather than getting so far behind like I have. No need for anyone to play detective. Both Saltz and Emily D. Baker have said that they will release info when the investigation is complete. And see, I didn't even know that. Like, that's how far retrieved I am from everything at this point. I see random little bits, and some people send me some stuff. I've had a few comments that said that I got accused of helping Natalie with the CPS report. And to that comment, I replied very sarcastically along the lines of, I'm not going to address that. And if someone is dumb enough to believe it, then good on them. So like, that's how far out I am. And, I'm glad that they both have made a public statement that once the investigation is concluded or something is figured out, that they will release it to the public. That was one of my concerns, is like, are we ever going to get answers? And the reality is we may not get answers for a while, and people need to be okay with that. And people need to stop trying to figure everything out, because no matter how much information you're being sent, you're being given, you sitting on any kind of platform, whether it's a Twitter platform, a YouTube platform, an Instagram platform, TikTok platform, I don't care, on any kind of platform, and you are finger pointing and you are naming people, and you don't know for 100% fact that they are who you're claiming they are and what involvement they had, you probably shouldn't say that. That's speculation at best, and it's conspiracy theories at worst, which continue to be spun. And from what I have seen and I have heard, it is getting ridiculous. And I just don't understand why people are even engaging in that. There are also, there can be problematic people. I agree. Usually people cannot dox someone from a comment in a chat or comment section if you have it right, especially the name on your YouTube isn't your real name. If I'm correct anyways. Where was Rose's question? Doxing sucks and it's dangerous. Absolutely. You don't comment because your son. Yeah, as long as you're not using your real name or your son's real name when you're commenting on comment sections, your anonymity is kept. I've had people recently ask, like, when they join memberships, do I get access to their real names? Do I get access to their email addresses? And I don't know if this is a creator that has pushed this out at any point and I missed it, but no. Yes, on the back end of our analytics, we can see who all is a member and what tier that they have subscribed to. But all we see is your picture that you have chosen and the YouTube username that you have chosen. That is it. We don't get any other information. So I don't know if that's been pushed somewhere. And if it is, whoever said that, they're trying to manipulate you, and it's probably a scare tactic. I don't know why else a creator or anyone would say that we creators have access to that kind of information. I don't see any good coming from a comment like that. Hey, Joyce. You have to preserve your sanity. No amount of YouTube fame is worth losing your family or friends over. Some creators are clearly not valuing their families to stop this BS, to be honest. I mean, I think I don't know exactly what perception you have around that comment, but the perception that I get from that is, yes, I agree. I agree that creators who are actively doxing each other or releasing information, I mean, that's a dox. Doxing in any kind of way just to get back at each other, whether it's in this community or a different community, because this has been going on in a lot of places. You are not thinking of your family first, because when you dox somebody or you allow a dox to happen, you are asking for them to fight fire with fire. Am I saying that it's appropriate that they go and dox you back? Absolutely fucking not. But that is what's going to happen. Especially if you're a larger creator and you have a platform, you have people who are standing you, you have people who really want to defend you because you don't rein in your stands, which I understand there's only so much you can do with that. But I cannot understand. I just don't understand the aspect of doxing. I don't know what it does. Unless it's clearly accidental, any kind of a dox is malicious, in my opinion. Oftentimes people try to deflect and say that it's not a dox because it wasn't malicious. If you read the definition of a dox, it says, typically with malicious intent, meaning you don't have to have malicious intent for it to technically be a dox. Did y'all hear about the family vlogger channel that accidentally doxed himself and some a-hole burned his car down and caught his house? No. I did not know about that, Skip. It's been a really, really busy day for me. I have not been online at all. I'm leaving in 2 days for 10 days. It's a very long trip. I had orders I had to finish, which I have to mail out tomorrow. They were supposed to go out today and they got delayed. I had items I had to make for my nieces and my family. And I mean, I was just way far behind. So today was crazy, along with doing laundry, starting packing, because the side of the family is very, very active. So I have to make sure I have stuff for everything. It's been a busy day for me. And tomorrow's probably going to be worse. Gonna keep it real. You don't get how one woman has impact on this platform. You're not a fan of hers. You do enjoy the people you have met in chats. Yeah, and I think the reason it is because she has affected people. She personally affected me. Was it a everlasting impact? No. But she affected a community that I hold extremely close to me, and that's been a whole big deal. But I got over it. I talked about it openly with you guys. I had my emotional frustration and I moved on from it. I said shortly after that, like, this isn't worth it. She is not worth getting this out of me. And I think it comes to a point where people just feel that they have a sense of community now, that maybe they don't even engage in the criticizing and calling out her problematic behavior anymore. It more had transformed into a community that they liked the people that they were talking to in chats. It wasn't even so much the coverage that they were doing, but because they all know that they're going to convene on so-and-so's channel or this or that channel, and if it's about this, that they're going to be there. I mean, it's kind of conditioning people to a degree now that I think about it. Yeah. I want to know. Okay, their YouTube channel is called. Whose video did you watch on it, Skip? I want to know where to find the video. That might be something I can talk about. Hey, Angela, you hope people will leave. See, and leave Charlotte and Waxy alone. If they're being bothered, I agree. People need to leave them alone. It goes every single way, though. And that's the hypocrisy, and that's the frustration that I was seeing before I even left. Yes, do they deserve what's getting thrown at them? No, they don't. But no person does. There just needs to stop. It needs to stop. It all needs to stop. It's getting very, very dangerous. It's getting absolutely ridiculous, and it needs to stop. Like, they all need to just stop it. They're grown women, every single one of them. I'm pretty sure age doesn't even matter, but they're all grown. And they're all doing this back and forth. And it's just like, for what reason? For what reason? It's not worth it. Like, stop hurting people. Stop it. Roman A is making a comeback. I don't even know who they are. You don't support being judge and jury. Yeah, I don't either. I'm so far behind. I keep getting way far behind, or parts of my chat are missing. You've been seeing the family name pop up a lot, so that explains it. I think they did a TikTok. So were they TikTokers or were they YouTubers? Not that that matters. I'm just curious. Yeah. You will say, if you're a creator on YouTube, you have to realize that criticism is a part of it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on, particularly with everything going on with the Without a Crystal Ball community, but I do know, like, in other communities, that it has become a big deal about videos being made on each other. Okay, that's being a hypocrite. You're sitting on your platform, you're a commentary channel, you're calling out so-and-so and so-and-so's behavior. If someone thinks that you're engaging in bad behavior, they have the right to sit on their platform and call it out. They also have a right to sit on their platform and say that they publicly disagree with your conclusions and give their opinions why. And if they respond because you're calling them out, or vice versa, like, that's part of being on the platform. If you get on a channel to any degree and you speak to any degree, you really kind of don't get the choice to cry when someone makes a video about you. You don't get the ability to say, well, they made a video about me, so they can't make any more now. That's not how it works. It's just not. You can't be having a commentary channel calling out problematic behavior and get upset when it happens to you. You have two choices: ignore it or fight back. But understand, if you fight back and you're not bringing facts and you're just bringing your opinions and you're trying to say that they're lying about stuff, people are not going to believe you. Trust me, I had a drama myself months and months and months ago that I got involved in, and it continued, and I continued to get hate and continued how to learn how to go through that process until I dropped a video with nothing but receipts showing the lies on me and how they were lying to their audience about things, about me. So if you're not going to come with receipts to clarify it, and you're just going to come back with opinions and opinions, you're fighting opinions with opinions, it's going to continue. That's not just within the WACB infighting. Yes, that is happening there, but it's also happening in other areas that I've been watching. And it's kind of ridiculous to see these creators getting upset that videos are being made about them when you're calling out people too. If that's going to hurt your feelings, you really need to reevaluate what kind of content you're going to make Because if you're wanting to do commentary, it's going to continue to happen. And the more that you grow, the more it's going to continue. And the harder the hate is going to get and the nastier people are going to get because you're being seen by more people. If you cannot come to that understanding and you cannot come to boundaries with yourself to be able to handle those things, you really need to reconsider having a platform. And I'm not trying to say anybody should be deplatformed or anything like that for being upset that shit happened, because I've gotten on my platform and have cried a couple of times. So I'm not trying to say like be the pot calling the kettle black, but I'm also trying to say like I have learned from those situations that I have been put in, and I have known that it's only going to get worse, and it does only get worse. And you have to have those boundaries. Otherwise, you're constantly going to be coming to your platform sad, and you're constantly going to be coming to your platform upset. And it's not really healthy for you as a creator to be putting innocent viewers in the position to deal with your trauma and your issues every day because you can't put in boundaries for yourself. And I know that sounds really rude, but it's the truth. So that's why I just said it. Yeah, I'm going to have to do slow mode moving forward. I'm about to hop off of here, though. Been on for like an hour and a half. So I'm going to try and catch up, and then I'm probably going to go. Hey, Just Britt, good to see you. You hate when it's a minute or more. I hate when it's like 30 seconds even. I really do, but I do understand the utilization of it, so I'm probably going to have to use it. He showed a piece of mail. And see, and that just goes to show like why I feel like maintaining privacy is important, because you don't know who's watching you. And if you have a large audience, chances are people clearly aren't going to like you. And I don't know this family or anything like that. Just from what Skip is like saying and what other people are saying, that his car and his house got burnt to the ground. That is the seriousness of doxing. And people need to understand that doxing is not a new thing. Swatting is not a new thing. I'm 30. These things were happening 20 years ago. These are not new things. Why is it 20 years later in the year 2021, people are still grown-ass fucking people, and this pisses me off, grown-ass fucking people are trying to hurt each other. You cannot put out a dox and tell me you are not trying to have something bad happen to them. I don't give a fuck who you are. Unless you do it on yourself, totally unintentionally, by accidentally showing something or something being in the background that people can piece together who you are and find out where you are, that's totally unintentional. But as another creator, if you are releasing people's information, I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't care. To me, you're doing it for an intention. You're doing it to either hurt them, make them scared, and God forbid something like this happens to them. And if it ever were to happen, I hope, and this is going to sound terrible, and this is going to show like I can be black and white at times, but I hope that you feel like utter shit. If you were a person who participated or sent out information, even with this family that's being talked about, whoever did that and whoever shared that to where those people who were clearly having issues of their own to think it's okay to go burn people's cars and houses down, I hope you feel like shit for the rest of your life. And I hope no one was hurt in that situation, because then you will probably end up behind bars at some point. But like people who are doing this stupid, childish, immature fighting with each other because you disagreed about something or you disagreed about somebody's action, to go to the lengths of doxing them has this kind of outcome. It can have this kind of outcome. And there has been more than just the few people who are currently very upset and currently being doxed in most of these communities. The other people have been doxed at some point too. People are very fickle on the internet. And people within the WACB community are some of the most fickle people I have ever met. And I don't mean that as an insult, but I mean that as if you like someone and you're their ride or die, you absolutely, what I have seen happen time and time and time again is you refuse in some circumstances to even humanize the opposing argument. And I'm not even talking about Katie. I'm talking about the infighting. That's when I seriously continued to have said, take a step back. I'm not trying to be bossy, but in a way I am trying to be bossy. Like I do not think a lot of people are thinking clearly and seeing the big picture. And you want to know why? It boils down to our topic tonight, because every creator at this point is engaging in manipulating their freaking audiences. I said it, and I don't care. All right, I'm going to try and catch up. Sorry I went on a little rant. No, people can't get your IP from commenting in a chat. Yeah, anybody who supports doxing, I would be surprised if they were involved in my chat, to be honest. I'm not saying it's not unlikely or it doesn't happen, but I would be surprised. Yeah, Skip says, it depends on who wants it. A real hacker can. And that's the thing, a real hacker. A lot of times when people are talking about these hacking incidences, it's not even really hacking. Like, we've had people who are like tech geniuses come out and explain this stuff. You mean people on YouTube, you don't want to give any info out? I'm not sure what you're talking about, Jersey. I may have missed some of what you were saying. Hey, just for the tea. Okay, I'm probably just going to like scroll to the bottom of the chat so I don't stay behind for forever. That's the thing about doxing. You may just being petty, but the next person that sees that may do something awful. And I wouldn't want to live with that on my conscience. Exactly. And like, for what reason? Like, for what reason? Because the people who have been called out for doxing either double down or they deny it. Even if there's like, I have never heard someone explain why they have doxed someone else. I would really like to know what their actual legitimate feelings and explanations are, because it will be very telling of that person and their true character. Like, there's something, and I'm not saying that they're crazy or anything like that, but clearly you had some kind of very strong opinions, and you probably weren't thinking clearly to make you engage in a behavior like that. But to me, it would almost be better to say, yes, I did this. This is my thought process. This is why I did this, and explain how they intend to not, hopefully, to not engage in that again. But the problem is the people who are engaging in doxing are people who have done it time and time and time and time again. Therefore, it is a repetitive problem. It is a part of their behavior. If you are constantly online, and when you have an online presence, you're constantly doxing people and you're constantly engaging in this negative stuff, either you're using the internet as an outlet, which is not necessarily the safest and most healthy to do, or you get enjoyment out of doing this to people, which also is not safe for the others, and it's unhealthy. I'm not trying to insinuate you have something wrong with you, but you need to talk to somebody and see if there's a reason that you're being triggered to do those kinds of things. You see subs being an issue, and then you see the creator get blamed, pisses you off. I mean, sometimes that's when it boils down to things going on behind the scenes. And some people know what's going on behind the scenes, so they hint at it. So maybe others will understand that, yeah, it looks like the sub is doing it, but behind the scenes, maybe there was this conversation with this creator and this was talked about. I mean, that's the thing. You never know. Your best bet is to just go with your gut instincts. If you have a gut instinct that someone is not, that they're not honest, or that they're being disingenuous, or something seems off, or something doesn't seem right, just go with your gut. It doesn't mean you have to stop supporting them. It doesn't mean you can't agree with them. It just means you need to protect yourself. That's all it means. I look tan. I'm not tan. Maybe it's because my hair is dark and the lighting in here is bad. Maybe when I come back, I'll be tan. I don't know. You feel like some people, Night Just Brit, you feel like some people actually think that there isn't an issue if they find the info on public. That's bullshit, though. That's bullshit. I mean, I've gone over. I'm not mad at you. Not mad at anybody in my chat. Okay, here is the definition of a dox. Search for and publish private or identifying information about, in parentheses, a particular individual on the internet, comma, typically with malicious intent. Meaning, just searching for it and then publishing it, if it's not something they have shared on their own platform, is a dox. That is the most general and basic definition. I don't care what your reason is for searching for somebody's fucking Facebook. You searched for it, you found it, and you published it. Look at the definition here, guys. Look at it. It's a dox. I don't care what I don't care. And I know that that's going to piss people off, but that is what it is. Like that's the definition of a dox. I'm sorry. It says typically with a malicious intent, meaning there doesn't have to be malicious intent. And I've talked about this before. I believe the malicious intent probably plays in when you're talking about criminal charges. And I'm sorry, I'm just sick. And, the thing is I've liked some of these creators, and I've even looked up to some of these creators who are engaging in this kind of stuff right now and who have been for the last couple of months. And because I didn't speak out about it when things were happening, people assumed a certain way or a certain thing, which, again, I'm okay with. I'm just saying people did assume something with me. And just assume that I was trying to co-sign this behavior. And I've talked about it before. A lot of creators that I have been associated with or that I have talked about before have all engaged in problematic behavior. Even myself have probably engaged in problematic behavior. I'm not above anything to say that I probably haven't done a thing or two that are petty, because I absolutely have. I made petty videos about Katie and her makeup. I did engage in some petty content. I never tried to hurt anybody's feelings or comfort anybody. And I have always just chosen the route to not talk about people who I have been associated with. And the reason is the one time I did, because of the one drama I have been involved in, it was a pain in the ass to deal with. Constantly feeling like I did not invalidate this other creator or anything like that. And I continually said in almost every video that I wasn't going to invalidate their experience, but this was mine. And I gave my experience. And for months, I had to continue to explain to people what my experience was, because people weren't willing to watch the videos. People weren't willing to go and look. And I understand that in hindsight, why people didn't. People don't have time. People are busy. And that's why, to get it to just fucking stop, and to stop feeling like I had to defend myself and explain myself constantly, I just made a video with all of the receipts. And I was like, here it is. Do what you want with it. If you still don't want to believe me, like, fine. But stop trying to continue to antagonize the situation. And it's the same with all of these other people infighting. Like, if you genuinely think that someone is awful, then just say what you feel. If you continually feel that you have to shade them, just say what you have to say, deal with the backlash, and move on. Playing this whole tit for tat thing is just, it's immature. It is so immature. And as far as like the Facebook docs, clearly we know who I'm talking about, Aaron, and I'm not going to like shy away from saying people's names and shit. I just don't want to be involved, and maybe talking about it is going to get me involved. What I will say is, if people mention me, I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to engage unless you lie about me. Then I'm just going to clarify the lies, but I'm not going to do any back and forths with people. When it comes to the Facebook thing, when I talked about doxing before, I explained it this way, because most people who are in my chat, except for maybe the one person who disliked this video, you like me for some reason or another. You may not subscribe to me, and that's fine. Please don't feel pressured. But you like my banter, or you like my personality, or you like what I talk about, or maybe you're here hoping that I talk about drama. I mean, who knows? And I'm not judging for whatever reason it is. But the thing is, you guys like me to some degree, right? Unless you're hate watching, which whatever. I mean, that happens, but it is what it is, right? So look at it this way. You guys know that I have, if you've watched me for any period of time or even more than one time, you know that I am very selective about what kind of information I put out regarding where I'm at, aside from my state, where I'm at, what my husband does. I've been kind of shy in the past when I was working to talk about like what kind of work I was doing. All of those reasons are because I'm trying to protect my privacy, and more than that, I'm trying to protect my family's privacy. And there's reasons for that I can't even disclose, because if I do, people may decide to go looking for stuff just based off of one little thing that I may say, right? So with all of that in mind, think of somebody happening to stumble across my Facebook. I do have a Facebook. It is only a private Facebook, and it is about as locked down as I can get for a multitude of reasons. It's been like that since I was like 22. And if you watched my story about my adoption, you know why it's like that. But I have it very, very locked down. So let's say somebody does happen to find it and they publish it. Okay, you went looking for it. I've never once shared my last name. I've never once shared exactly where I'm at. I've never once shared anything for someone to be able to find my Facebook. Doesn't mean someone probably couldn't if they tried hard enough. But if my Facebook, if my personal Facebook is released, somebody is doxing me. So why is it, whether they have my last name, or I don't even have my last name on my profile, but whether they have like identifying information blacked out or not, you still search for and published private information, which is a dox. It doesn't matter if you censored it. You searched for it and you published it. That's the basic definition of a dox. So, I mean, you also don't agree with what's happening in other lives with soft doxing. I believe you probably have receipts. Like I said, if it has anything to do with that community, which I'm assuming it does, they've been soft doxing and stuff like that for months. It's not new. And it's like when certain people engage in a soft dox and not a hard dox, depending on which creator or which subscriber is the one who's doing it, it's okay. I mean, I think almost everybody in that community has been doxed to some degree or another. Erin herself has been doxed before. And, you know, when it happened to Erin several months ago, there was a little bit of an uproar and people, you know, calling it out. And it's just like people don't, which makes it more frustrating from both sides. The fact that she's been doxxed and like now she's kind of engaged in that behavior. And then also like the other aspect of it. Like she's been there, she's been in that position and it's like she's not realizing it, but also I can see the argument of she's been doxxed and maybe people didn't defend her to the degree that they're defending some other creators who have been doxxed at the times that they've been doxxed. I don't know. And I think that there's a couple of different reasons that could happen. And I'm not trying to offend anybody. Let me just say that. I think some of it is Erin seems very independent and seems like very brash to a degree, very outspoken. So people may not feel the need to defend her as much as people have felt the need to defend Charlotte. And that's because Charlotte's a little bit more soft-spoken. She is, you know, she's a grandmom. I'm not holding that against her. I'm just saying, like, they're perceived as two totally different personalities. So people may feel more inclined to defend Charlotte because she's perceived as being soft-spoken. Whereas Erin is perceived about being, you know, kind of in your face, a little more upfront, not afraid to make those, you know, what's the right term? Like, reaching jokes. Like she's known to just kind of say whatever the hell she wants and like it be cool, right? Like she's known for her humor and stuff like that. So I think that's part of the reason why Charlotte gets more like people defend Charlotte a little bit more than what people have defended Erin, or when you know, other people have been doxxed, because other people have been doxxed too. Dottie's been doxxed. Little Red's been doxxed. Pretty sure Tina's been doxxed before. T-Spiracy's been doxxed before. I mean, I'm just trying to think of like almost all of these. There's very few who have not been doxxed. And I understand the frustration from some of these creators feeling like they didn't get the defensiveness that Charlotte is getting. But at the same time, like, you have to understand it doesn't matter. It's still a dox, and you can't let your personal feelings of I didn't get defended as much, or people didn't care as much, or they're not even realizing, you're not communicating that with people. And if you're going to communicate, hey, like, I do know what it's like to be doxxed because of this, this, and this, you need to be able to have that conversation in an adult manner and not be condescending and not act like, you know, people, you don't have it as bad or you had it just as bad. Like, stop making it a competition. Let's just move on and stop doxing each other, stop fighting each other in every community, because there's other communities that are also doxing people. I mean, people are trying to use criminal histories as leverage. Why the freak does it matter? Like, honestly, people can grow. People can learn from their mistakes. Stop trying to make people seem evil because you don't like them. or make them seem like hypocrites with their criminal histories because maybe they got in trouble for some bad shit when they were younger. I mean, we all grow up, we all make mistakes, and it's just ironic when people are trying to use criminal histories as a crutch. It is already stigmatized if you're a bad person if you have a criminal history. That's already a stigma that people have to fight. Why are you furthering it? And then trying to defend your own criminal histories in some cases, like trying to get ahead of the ball. Not everybody's going to stoop as low as you have to dox people. And I mean, this is an ongoing, continual thing in almost every single community. And it happens in smaller communities. Communities with like 10K and less is where all of the absolute disgusting behaviors like this happen. The constant infighting, the constant nitpicking, the constant going for each other, the constant doxing. It seems to be in subsects of communities where it's like the smaller channels talk about the same thing, so you get lumped together. You may build some kind of association, you may build some kind of relationship, you may be acquaintances, and some may even be friends. But it's in those little sectors that I'm noticing in all of these different communities that all do this stuff. And it's disgusting. Good night, Beauty Demon. I'm about to get off of here. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's been shut down or not, you know? Like, if I'll share my screen before I leave just so we can you zoom in? I guess not. Search for or publish private or identifying information about a particular individual on the internet, typically with malicious intent. Urban Dictionary's definition, the actual word is meant to expose a person's identity, sharing their name, address, phone number, etc., and usually with malicious intent. There's that usually. I mean, people get so hung up on the fact that malicious intent has to be involved. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Here's another definition from Wikipedia, which Wikipedia is not always a trustworthy website, but doxing, or it just has it spelled each way, is the act of publicly revealing previously private personal information about an individual or organization, usually through the internet. Methods employed to acquire such information include searching publicly available databases and social media websites, hacking, and social engineering. Point blank, that says, yeah, it's publicly available information, but you're publicly revealing it. You're sharing it. You're searching for it on a public website, but you are sharing the information that wasn't known previously by that person. I mean, it doesn't get more black and white than those definitions there. Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't matter who you guys support, if you support anybody, and I'm not trying to make anybody feel shameful if they do support someone who has doxed someone else. It's just more of a reminder that you need to be safe. You need to protect yourself. Even if you are in conversations with people, You always need to understand that you never know their intentions. You can hope that their intentions are the best. You can hope that you never piss them off to the extent that they feel they need to release anything, but you will not ever be putting yourself in that situation if you don't tell them that information to begin with. I have quite a few not Facebook. I have quite a few YouTubers that I would consider like high acquaintances, and some I would consider friends at this point. And they have my phone number, but they don't know my last name. And only a very few know even more identifying information as far as to where I'm at. And the reason I do that is, one, I don't trust anyone. Even if I like them and I think that they're my friend, until I've met you, I'm not going to 100% trust you, one. And two, if I am ever doxxed, I have a very small pool of people to go to. Hey, Dr. Cross, it's good to see you. You misunderstood about the account. You thought it didn't have information on it. It doesn't matter if it did. That's the thing. They publicly searched. They privately searched for someone's information on a public platform and they shared it. You're engaging in a dox at that point. Just because you choose to blur out a name or a last name doesn't mean that it's not a dox. Showing the account itself is in actuality the dox. Doesn't matter if there's personal information there or not. Alrighty, guys. Well, I've been on here for like 2 hours. I haven't eaten. My dinner's been here for about an hour and a half. So I am going to go eat my dinner and continue packing my bags and getting ready to go on my vacation. I will say content is probably going to be sparse the rest of this week and next week. Bear with me. I may try to do a live stream here or there while I'm in said location. It just depends on what all we have going on, because some days are going to be super, super busy. So I'm just warning you guys now, it's probably going to be sparse. When I come back, I'm going to be hitting hard the Anna Campbell stuff, and I will finally be getting out my Trishalicious video. And there's other content that I've been working on too. So any content you get this week is probably just going to be like makeup-y related or like generalized topics, and not so much commentary. There probably won't be much commentary. So just so you guys know ahead of time, I appreciate you all. I hope you guys all have a good rest of your evening or your day, wherever you are. And until I see you guys again, I hope you have a good one. Bye, guys.